Hello everybody, my name is Tanner Kyler, and today I'm going to be talking about the Chickasaw plum, also known as the sand plum or Prunus angustifolia by its Latin name. So this species of small flowering tree to shrubs, depending on what you want to call it, I would call it a small tree, can get 15 to 30 feet tall. It'll get taller in the edges of forest. I normally don't see it more than 15 feet tall out here in the prairie. There's a lot of wind, less water, and it's not fighting for sun, so it doesn't need to get as tall to grow with as much vigor. So they are a fruit-bearing tree. They have a small red, dark red whenever they're ripe, plum that grows on them that's a bit tart and has a large pit in the middle of it, but it is a pretty delicious fruit if you can time it and get it the right time of year. So I would say that it's a cool plant to maybe plant on the back side of your property or in the backyard if you don't have children running around, because they do have about 2-inch thorns all over them that do not feel well if you run into them. They're not the thorniest tree that I've ever seen, but they're definitely going to poke you if you run into them. So this is in the rose family. So like a lot of things in the rose family, they are risk of getting fungal infections. But this one, the wild type Chickasaw plums, are very tough, very resilient, as long as they're not just soaking in water. But generally, actually, I see them growing near waterways. So I do think that they're a bit tougher than the stuff that we grow in cultivation that is in the rose family. So they're more resistant to diseases and stuff. But this clump right here is probably around 10 to 20 years old. I don't know how fast it's growing here. We are on a pond dam, which it is help stabilizing the bank because they're really good for erosion control with these large fibrous root systems. So you can see the small one just sent out roots across here and shot up little runners all over the place. So and it smells amazing, similar to a cherry blossom or maybe even magnolia a little bit. Just very floral, very beautiful. Hot sunny days like this in early spring. So right now it is mid-March and we are having unseasonably warm weather, and that is causing our fruit-bearing trees to bloom a little earlier. So a lot of our things around here are dependent on the day lengths, not the temperature, but some things are dependent on temperature, similar like this Chickasaw plum, because we may be expecting a hard freeze tonight and tomorrow night, and I'm worried about these flowers. But what they are doing, and I'll put some clips in here, is helping this support an array of life. So there are hundreds of pollinators flying all over this and dozens of different species. I'm seeing jumping spiders and moths and butterflies and bees of all different types all over this thing. So it's supporting a very crucial role of giving early seasoned insects on these unseasonably warm days some nectar, so when it gets cold at night they won't die, so they can get, because if when the temperature warms up they have to be out feeding because the metabolism is high, so they need this nectar source here. So this is an excellent native plant if you live in the range, and I'll put a map up on the screen of this amazing shrub. So it is relatively, I would say, somewhat fast growing in its early life, and its later life, I mean, but it could take some time to get established in the yard. So I just planted 3 of these that I think are spineless in my yard here on the ranch where we are at, to help spread in more. And we also have a good amount of wild ones that are living near the restoration area that I am working on. And I can link a video in here to kind of show what I'm talking about there. It's about a 3.5-4 acre plot of land that is set aside for pollinators and other habitat for things from deer to beaver. We're recreating a prairie and a marsh, so that'd be really cool to go check that out. But this is, once it gets established, this is never going to die. You're never going to have to really care for it. It's just going to be this beautiful thing that comes back year after year, gives you food, helps out the pollinators. And as long as you're not leaving limbs on the ground, it shouldn't harm you in any kind of way, especially if you're out here in an area like this. It's not going to need much care. One last thing is that it also gives amazing shelter for things like bobwhite quail and turkeys, which are our largest grouse. Some cover during the winter time, so they can get away from predators. With these large thorns all over it, they form dense thickets mixed in with other plants. It is an impenetrable fortress to a lot of our larger predators. So that helps out a lot of our small mammals and ground nest birds like turkeys and bobwhite quail, because they lay their eggs in areas like this. And I have seen turkey eggs before, and I found it in a bunch of post oak trees that were low to the ground, similar to this grove of Chickasaw plums. But I think that's about it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put that in the comments down below, and I like to try to reach out and answer all of those for you guys. But I think that's about it for today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.